Hi there, my little demons and divas and demonites. Bienvenidos. Welcome back to my channel. ¿Qué es la que, mi gente? Estamos activados, estamos encendidos. It is I, Isa, aka the Demon Diva, and the big dog. He's back there. You probably can see him a little. And today, I have thoughts. Because we have a brand new AEW World Champion. His name is Briant Danielson Dragonson. And at one point, I remember he turned heel and he called a lot of people fickle. And honestly, some of the takes that I'm seeing on social media about All In feels like people are being fickle. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit. You know, I've been trying to give you more of these videos where I just randomly talk onto the mic. And I feel like there's some things that I just saw that I was like, no, I don't think that that's a valid point. So before I get into it, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I go live with watch alongs pretty much for every show during the week, and I'm sorry, Raw, NXT, Dynamite, SmackDown, PLEs that I'm not attending, I try to go live for. I bring you extra content. You can also hit the join and become a channel member. I do also put out exclusive videos for the Demonites. We also have watch alongs over there and like exclusive streams, and you get the emotes that you can use in the chat if you join us for a watch along. So we're trying to hit 25,000 before the end of the year, and we're at 24,000 something. So it will be greatly appreciated if you hit the subscribe button. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with AEW. And I feel like the reason why I have this love-hate relationship with AEW is like, I know that Will Ospreay talks about restoring the feeling a lot. I had that feeling. I attended All Out in 2021. Yeah. And I walked out of there with the feeling. That's the one when Adam Cole debuted, Danielson Dragonson debuted, CM Punk had his first match. I mean, it was so magical. And I just remember the way that I felt walking out of the building, and just I was falling in love with AEW. And that is the one time that I was like, whoa, this company is not messing around. They can really do this. They could really become a major competition, if not an alternative, something different. And that's what we all needed at that time. And the times have changed, but because I started watching wrestling a little later on, I really want to stick it out with AEW because AEW has given me that opportunity. A lot of people talk about being there for WCW, for example, from its inception until it went down. I hope that's not the case here. I hope we keep it going. But it's the one company that I can say, like, wow, I've been a wrestling fan since it was created, because I started been watching on and off forever, but like religiously nonstop since like 2014. So AEW is the only company that I can tell you I have followed since day one. Saw their first episode, saw their first pay-per-view. I watch pretty much every weekly program that I can. So I don't know. I have this. Yeah, I just want it to be better. I want it to be what it once was. And I feel like all the tools are there and they're not being utilized. So yeah, sometimes I do the watch alongs and I'm like critical of certain things, but I would never want AEW to fail. I want AEW to feel the way that it felt to me walking out of that specific pay-per-view, because that is the feeling that needs to be restored. So I like when Will Ospreay says that. And I felt very positive ending my AEW All In 2024 watch along. I liked it. I don't think it was a perfect pay-per-view. By all means, it wasn't. I don't think any pay-per-view is perfect. And but that's okay. I think there was a couple of things that were overbooked. I think my criticism towards AEW is nothing major in regards to yesterday. They always put a match or two that doesn't need to be in the card. That seems to be a repetitive offense from them when it comes to pay-per-views. But at the same time, you're paying $50. This isn't on a streaming service. So I would assume that if I'm a business person, I'm going to throw everything that I can in there so people feel like they're getting their money worth, right? Like some people could be thinking like that. And yeah, I mean, if you want to pay $50 for a 5-card match, like it's different. WWE can do that. You're paying Peacock, or the network. So yeah, there was a couple things that were overbooked. I didn't think we needed a distraction during Ospreay and MJF. I didn't think we needed a distraction during Swerve and Brian. But I think that the good outweighed the bad. and I was more entertained in the things that I was criticizing. I felt like I was nitpicking. And because I'm live streaming when I watch these shows live, I don't get on social media and see what's being said. And when I get done streaming, I take a break from everything because, sometimes I'll pop in and watch some of my favorite creators that are reviewing the show. And I felt like it felt overall positive. I stopped by Solo Monster stream. I saw FICKLES. I saw JD's. Like, I went to a couple of people, and I feel like the things that they were, saying pretty much were on par with what I felt. But then I got on the socials, and it bothered me. It bothered me a lot, to the point that the first point that I want to talk about, I went on my social media, I went on my TikTok, on my Twitter, and on my Instagram. The Instagram video is in Spanish, but I talked about this Ricochet debut. And people are just like shitting all over it, saying that he was buried, that it was terrible, that he's a mid-carder again. And it's like, I don't understand how we're just judging out of that appearance. So having debut at your stadium, 50,000 people show in a match where he's protected, and now you build him up and you give him a story. Some of the best matches that we saw last night in AEW is because they had a story built to it. So what, you want him to come out and call out Ospreay, and then we get Ospreay and Ricochet at All Out with no story? We already know what they can do with no story, because a lot of us have gone back and watched their match without seeing it originally. I rewatched that. I never watched the original match. So why not really put a story behind it now? Why not build Ricochet? And if we're going to compare the Casino Gauntlet Royal to the Royal Rumble, then we need returns. We need debuts. We need surprises. And WWE gives us that at the Royal Rumble, and not all of them win. People, you know how many people had debuted at the Rumble that didn't go on to win it, and they went on to have perfectly great careers? Okay, I said in my video earlier too, I was like, okay, listen, if you don't have faith in AEW writing a compelling story to propel Ricochet forward, that's a whole different conversation. But Andy's debut is back. He felt like a big deal. They could have come out an episode of Dynamite. They didn't. They hadn't come out of fucking Wembley Stadium. Another thing that I saw that people were highly critical of was the placement of the Toni Storm and Mariah May match. And I gotta tell you something. I love where they put it in the card. I love this match. I don't even know what I place it in the card. I might place it second just because of the moment of seeing Brian at the end of the show with his family. Just outweigh that. But I love the story between Toni Storm and Mariah May. And I will not swap it with what Britt Baker and Mercedes Moné did, because there is no way in hell that I would have had them follow Ospreay and MJF after what they did. I think anybody, not just Britt and Monet, I think anybody was set up for failure putting that spot. You could have put the tag team titles there, or Jericho and Hook. But hey, listen, I love that they put the match early on the card when we were still hyped. We were all still fully energized. And I remember even seeing the graphic come up and going, oh, holy shit, that's next, and getting like really into it. When a story is great, I don't think it matters where you put them in the card. I mean, they could have main evented, but the Briant moment, again, really takes everything. But I like that they put it early on. And it felt like a big deal. So a lot of people are saying, I would have swapped them with Monet and DMD to follow Ospreay and MJF. Let's not do that. Let's give them their own spotlight. So when it comes to that, I would have not swapped them. I wouldn't have. I thought they were great where they were at. And it made the opening of the show, because a lot of times AEW pay-per-views pays weird. And what I mean by weird is that I always walk out of AEW pay-per-views or the watch-alongs thinking, okay, there was like 2-3 matches in there that made it worth my time. But they were at the end. And the first 3 hours, we're just like sitting here shooting the shit because we don't care. I thought that yesterday was a very well-paced show. Even the matches that I can tell you I didn't care about were put in between matches that I care about, so it didn't feel like it dragged for 4 hours until we got to the meat and the bones of it. So I'm not going to hate on the placement of Mariah May and Toni Storm, and I'm not going to hate on the... Are you kidding me? And I'm not going to hate on the pace of the show, because I actually thought it flowed well. I think we need to give AEW more credit when they deserve it. Another thing that it didn't bother me as much as it bothered... It bothered me a little bit when I was watching live. I'm not going to lie. I was like, really? Christian Cage won? But I thought, well, let's see what happens at the end. Because if Swerve wins again, I don't want to see no other Christian Cage and Swerve match. But the biggest babyface just won. We might need a match for him. Why not have a throwaway match? Why are you going to give that win to Zack Sabre Jr. or... Nigel McGuinness or Ricochet, who just debuted, to just go immediately to not only get a world title shot immediately, but lose? Like, that's crazy. No, like, give it to Christian. Christian can really be a great match for Brian, but it can be a throwaway loss that gives him a title defense, because I'm not sure how long Brian is going to have this title for. So, we might have to rack up a couple of fast title defenses before he drops it. I'm okay with Christian Cage winning because of the title changing hands. I don't know that I would have felt this way if Swerve would have retained. I can tell you that much. But after seeing how everything played out at the end of the night and assuming that Christian is not going to win, yeah, I'm going to say I'm okay with this. The attendance. Why is everybody so focused on what was tarped off? You know, I saw a tweet today that said there was 2 wrestling events this month with 50,000 plus people in attendance, and that's awesome for wrestling. Why aren't we looking at that? Yeah, AEW might have not done the numbers that they did last year, but the show was impressive. Medium-worthy show. It feels like a big deal. I hate when we focus on that. Like, it was a successful show, and 2 years in a row in the same spot. The crowd was great. I wish we would stop focusing on things that don't really matter. It was still a spectacle. It was still a stadium show in London. Like, get the fuck over that shit, you know? And last but not least is a press conference, because the same with the attendance. I'm noticing that there's a lot of things going viral on social media in regards to the press conference and things that should not be asked and should have been asked. And, excuse me. And as somebody that watched the press conference, the media scrum in its entirety, I thought it was one of the better AEW media scrums. It was very positive. Everybody came off well. There was so many highlights and cool freaking moments. And people are just making viral the moments that nobody cares about. Why are we talking about Brian having his daughter out there? That was freaking adorable. Calling the blood ketchup because his kid was out there. Why don't we talk about how Will Ospreay might not be media trained, and that is the best thing about him, how legitimate he is? Why are we talking about the eulogy that the obituary that Mariah May read? You know, I love when Tony Khan fucking stood up for the FTW title, because while I have a lot of respect for my colleagues, I do cover wrestling as media. Sometimes I don't think that the question was structured properly, but it did give an opportunity for Tony Khan to say, no, that wasn't a joke. Like, put some respect on Taz and the FTW title. I thought I really, compared to other, and we've seen some disasters from AEW, I thought this press scrum was really good. Still a little too long. They could still hold back on how many people they bring out or how many questions they get asked. But overall, I like the press conference. And that's what I wanted to say here in Ramble about. It's like, I feel like people are just bringing out all of these negative points. And I know there's a lot of tribalism when it comes to AEW and the fan base and this and that, but why aren't we focusing on giving it credit? I thought that yesterday was a great, successful show for AEW, and this is coming from somebody that's not high on AEW all the time. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Are you guys noticing this, and are you getting tired of it? I feel like if we all love wrestling, we should want wrestling to do good. We shouldn't be highlighting the bad, especially when not all of it is bad. The majority of it are good, yet all I'm still seeing is the bad. We're done with that. We're going to start talking about the good stuff, all right? All right, great. Let me know in the comments what was your favorite thing about AEW and what is the most ridiculous take you think about All In. So far, babes, I will be back later. Until next time. Adios. Mwah.